972-4-WALKER. Make sure you're ready for summer. 972-4-WALKER or WalkerAC.com.
Del Walmsley talks about finding that one thing that made sense for the lifestyle.
I looked at franchises. I looked at...
Real estate makes sense. Lifestyles Unlimited will teach you how to buy your first rental property. Join our live online free workshop to find out more. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. 660 AM, The Answer. 660 AM, TheAnswer.com.
Well, we're coming to your city.
We won't be defunding our police. We won't be dismantling our police. We won't be disbanding our police. We won't be ending our police force.
We can create a society that's not so over-policed, or where police, we don't tolerate certain tactics.
I will never stop saying, not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
Don't go anywhere, go on the cops. Don't go anywhere, we're going to the cops. Get the cops. Get the cops involved right now. There you are, get the cops involved right now. On the cops.
What you waiting on? You gonna call him? Broke it.
All right, glad you're with us. We got a lot of ground to cover today. 800-941-SEAN. You want to be a part of this extravaganza. You got a lot of conflict now that has emerged with this whole let's defund the police.
Some dummy Randy
argument. And by the way, Biden was against defunding the police before he was for defunding the police. I'll explain. Senate Democrats, these are just some of the headlines, that they just refused to rule out defunding the police. The National Association of Police Unions blast the Democrats' quote war on cops. There's now been over 700 people injured now, cops injured around the country since all of this has started. Not covered by the mainstream media at all. That kind of debunks the narrative that this has all been peaceful. It has not, by any stretch of the imagination. I think we're up to now about almost 20 people that have died as a result of what we've been watching with our own eyes, and that is the violence and the looting and the arson and the rocks and the Molotov cocktails that I guess the rest of the media just apparently doesn't see or want to see. So all of this is now happening. I just, you know, as you watch this, though, you got to ask yourself some fundamental questions here. And this is serious. Okay. I never thought we'd ever discuss defunding the police. What defunding the police would mean is you don't have police. And then when you ask these geniuses in the city council in Minneapolis what they're going to do to replace it, they don't have good answers at all. And I sit there and I'm thinking to myself, well, if you don't have a plan, you're just going to defund the police. Now, a couple of assumptions you have to make here. Nobody's talked more about crooked cops, or what I keep mentioning Joe DeGenova because it shocked me at the time, because instinctively, you know, having a family that had a lot of members, relatives in the police department, two guys were deity that made it to the FBI, and my mom being a jail guard for 25 years, and my dad's family court probation, I just looked at the police as the good guys. And kind of embarrassed to say a little bit, even when one came home and said, I think I saw your son hanging on the back of that car skitching in the wintertime when I was pretty young. I remember the words from my father, I'll handle this, officer, thank you. Wasn't a good day in my life. He wasn't doing anything. He just doesn't want to see a kid get killed because he falls off the back of the car and then the car behind it runs him over. So he's doing his job. You know, pretty old school. They just say, then the cops hears a parent that says, I'll handle this. They know what that means. That means that kid's going to get in a lot of trouble, which, by the way, happened in... Linda loves that story. Well, I got in a lot of trouble. You know, I talked at length, for example, about all of the failure that has taken place. And, you know, I watched this for years. The only TV show to scroll the names of all the people shot in Chicago, all the years Biden and Obama, they didn't do anything to stop the violence at all. These are cities that have been run by liberal Democrats, governors, mayors. They haven't lifted a finger, and it is sad. And we don't know most of the names. There are thousands that have been murdered, and none of this. Nobody's ever come in and said, "Hey, this is a national emergency. Our American children are not being educated. They can't even leave their house for fear of getting shot, and they're not stopping the violence." You know, they just claim a superiority. That's what happens every 2 and 4 years. Republicans, conservatives are racist, sexist, misogynist, xenophobic, homophobic, Islamophobic, dirty air, water, kill children, and kill mama, grandma, and grandpa. I mean, we'll throw them over a cliff. I say it all the time. You know, and this has been time that has been building and building. We are failing part of our American family. It is an epic fail. And we got to fix it. And by the way, I'm not against more training for police officers. I have no problem with training. You know, what doesn't work? What they're doing in Chicago is an epic fail, and nobody lifts a finger to stop the violence in Chicago. You might not like what Rudy Giuliani did, but he dropped the murder rate from around 500 to 500 a year annually, and they weren't looking at race. They'd say, okay, where are a lot of the crimes, most of the crimes happening? It's here, this zip code, that zip code, this. And they went forward with stop and frisk. Understand, it's controversial. It was called every name in the book. But lives were saved. We've got to learn from our mistakes. You know, look at, for example, we spend more as a country on public education than any other country on the face of this earth. And, you know, my background studying Latin in high school and Duvernay and Bring Forth from Within, I've said it many times. Well, that kind of is predicated on a belief that God has put talent and ability in every one of his children. And we have a propensity, some are good and others are evil. They're bad people. You can, you know, if you're a rapist, you're a bad person. If you know, are a mass murderer, 100 million souls. When you look at Stalin and Mao and Nazism and fascism, single time, we can't have that kind of police.